The arena did not sound alive when SmackDown went to black. The crowd was there, every seat filled, every camera light ready, yet the noise flattened into something hollow. A low, uncertain hum replaced anticipation. Commentary spoke softly, voices slower than usual, as if even they were unsure whether the night should continue as planned. The ring lights stayed bright, but the air felt dim, heavy with a sense that something was misaligned. Nothing had happened yet, and that was the problem. Silence settled in pockets, spreading row by row, the kind that makes people shift uncomfortably and glance at one another for reassurance. The opening match graphic never appeared. Instead, a wide shot lingered on the ring, empty and exposed. One commentator tried to speak, then stopped, choosing caution over confidence. The other cleared his throat, admitting he did not know what production was waiting for. The crowd responded with scattered claps that quickly died, replaced by murmurs. Some fans raised their phones, others lowered them, unsure if this was something worth recording. The atmosphere felt procedural, almost clinical, as if SmackDown itself had paused to consider whether it should proceed. Then the lights dipped, not dramatically, but slightly, like a mistake someone chose not to fix. No music hit. No graphic warned the audience. A single camera angle tightened on the entrance ramp, lingering too long. Commentary went quiet again, both voices audibly breathing, unsure whether to narrate or stay silent. When the curtain finally moved, it did not burst open, shifted slowly, reluctantly, as though pulled by someone uncertain of stepping through. The reaction was not cheers. It was recognition without acceptance. A wave of disbelief rolled through the arena, followed by silence so sharp it felt intentional. A few boos cut through, isolated and unsure, quickly swallowed by the quiet. The figure stood still, not posing, not acknowledging the crowd. The body language was stiff, shoulders tense, head slightly down. This was not an entrance designed to command attention. It felt like intrusion. Commentary finally spoke, voices cracked with uncertainty. They did not announce a name. They described what they saw, cautiously, almost apologetically. The camera avoided close-ups, as if respecting an unspoken boundary. The crowd did not know whether to react, and neither did the people paid to guide them. Something had shifted, not loudly, not proudly, but irrevocably. And as the figure took a single step forward, it became clear this was not a moment meant to excite anyone. It was a moment meant to unsettle everyone. The walk down the ramp felt longer than it should have, every step echoing louder than the last. No music filled the gaps, no crowd chant softened the tension. The audience watched in fragments, some standing instinctively, others crossing their arms, a few shaking their heads in quiet refusal. Commentary tried to frame the moment, but every sentence trailed off, unfinished. They acknowledged the shock without justifying it, questioning aloud whether this was necessary or even wise. The cameras caught faces in the crowd that were not smiling, not angry, just conflicted. The figure reached ringside and stopped, staring at the apron as if weighing a decision. The ring, once a symbol of purpose, now looked like a boundary. When they finally slid inside, the movement was slow, deliberate, almost cautious. No pose followed, no acknowledgement of the hard camera. The figure simply stood there, breathing heavy, eyes scanning the crowd, without focus. The silence returned, deeper now, broken only by a scattered mix of boos and uneasy applause that never unified. A microphone lay near the corner, untouched. Commentary speculated whether words were coming, but neither sounded convinced they should. The figure picked it up eventually, fingers tightening around it, then lowering it again. That hesitation spoke louder than any promo. The crowd leaned forward, not in excitement, but in apprehension. This was not a return built for redemption or revenge. It felt like an unresolved argument dragged back into public view. Finally, the microphone rose. The voice that came through was quieter than expected, strained, lacking bravado. The words were few, carefully chosen, almost reluctant. There was no apology, no declaration, only an acknowledgement that being back did not feel right, that honesty landed heavily, dividing the arena. Some fans booed louder now, offended by the discomfort. Others fell silent, unsure how to process vulnerability where dominance usually lived. Commentary did not interrupt. They let the words sit unchallenged. The segment ended without resolution. No match was announced. No confrontation followed. The figure dropped the microphone and exited the ring the same way they entered, without looking back. As the curtain closed behind them, the crowd remained standing, frozen between reaction and reflection. Commentary finally spoke, admitting this was not the kind of moment they could analyze in real time. Something had been exposed, not explained. SmackDown moved on, but the shift lingered, heavy and unresolved, like a crack no amount of production polish could hide. Backstage, the tension was immediate and unfiltered. Conversations stopped when the figure passed through, eyes following with judgment, curiosity, or quiet resentment. Some locker room doors closed softly, others stayed open, as if to signal distance without confrontation. No one cheered, no one clapped. The return had not inspired motivation. It had introduced uncertainty. A producer whispered into a headset, asking if this was really happening tonight, while another simply stared at the monitor, expression unreadable. Veterans sat silently, arms folded, processing what this meant for the locker room hierarchy. Younger talent watched from the edges, conflicted between opportunity and fear. The figure did not address anyone, did not seek validation or confrontation. They moved with purpose but without confidence, like someone walking through a place that no longer felt like home. The weight of unspoken questions pressed into every hallway. Why now? Why this way? What comes next? Media requests flooded in almost instantly. Phones buzzed with notifications, headlines forming before context could catch up. Some framed the moment as brave. Others called it reckless. The company issued no statement. Silence became policy, allowing speculation to fill the void. Commentary teams were briefed to tread carefully, to acknowledge without endorsing. The uncertainty spread beyond the arena, seeping into every conversation about the show. The figure sat alone in a quiet room, staring at their hands. The adrenaline had faded, replaced by something heavier. Regret did not show clearly, but neither did satisfaction. A family photo rested on the table beside them, face down. The choice to return had consequences beyond the ring, beyond ratings and reactions. That reality settled in slowly, painfully. As SmackDown ended, the broadcast faded without closure. The final shot was not of the ring, but of the empty entrance ramp. Lights dimmed, curtains still. Commentary offered no final hook, only a subdued acknowledgement that tonight felt different. Not bigger, not better, just altered. And as the screen went black, the question remained unanswered, hanging over everyone involved. Had this moment reopened something that should have stayed buried, or revealed a truth that could no longer be avoided? In the days that followed, the locker room did not return to normal. Conversations grew quieter, more guarded. Trust felt thinner. The return forced everyone to reassess their place, their past, their future. Some felt overshadowed. Others felt exposed. Figure remained present, but distant, participating without fully engaging, as if aware their presence carried weight they could not lift alone. Fans argued relentlessly. Social feeds split into camps, neither fully satisfied. Some defended the honesty of the moment, others resented the disruption. The company stayed measured, allowing the debate to burn without intervention. The figure watched it all from a distance, absorbing criticism and support with equal discomfort. This was not the reaction they had envisioned, but perhaps it was the only honest one possible. Family conversations grew tense. Questions about intent and consequence surfaced late at night, away from cameras. The return had reopened wounds that had never fully healed. The figure listened more than they spoke, understanding that justification would not ease the impact. Silence became both shield and burden. On television, the figure appeared again, but sparingly. No grand speeches followed, no immediate payoff. Commentary framed each appearance cautiously, acknowledging the discomfort rather than smoothing it over. The crowd reactions remained divided, unpredictable. Some nights leaned hostile. Others leaned quiet. None felt celebratory. The legacy once associated with dominance and certainty now felt complicated. The return had not restored it. It had challenged it. The figure seemed to accept that, carrying the weight without complaint. This was not about reclaiming glory. It was about confronting something unresolved, regardless of the cost. As weeks passed, the moment on January 16th refused to fade. It lingered in every reaction, every silence, every uneasy pause on commentary. SmackDown continued. Matches came and went, but the shift remained embedded in the show's identity. The figure stood at the center of it, not as a hero or villain, but as a reminder that not all returns are meant to heal. In private, doubts surfaced. The decision replayed endlessly, each step down the ramp scrutinized by memory. The figure questioned whether the truth they brought back was worth the damage it caused. There were no clear answers, only consequences unfolding in real time. The locker room adjusted slowly, never fully comfortable. Some relationships repaired themselves. Others fractured permanently. The return had drawn lines that could not be erased. Commentary reflected that reality, speaking with more restraint, acknowledging uncertainty as part of the narrative. Fans continued to debate, but the arguments softened over time, replaced by reflection. The moment stopped being viral and became historical, not because of spectacle, but because of its discomfort. It forced viewers to sit with feelings they did not expect from wrestling. On a quiet night, after the camera shut down, the figure stood alone in the ring. Lights low, arena empty. No music played. No audience watched. The ring felt smaller now, more honest. They looked around, absorbing the silence, understanding that this space had changed because they had changed. The return did not fix anything. It exposed everything. And as the lights finally went out, the question lingered, unresolved and human. Was coming back an act of courage, or simply the inability to let go?